Well, good afternoon, North Shore seniors. Here we are again, a week later, and I hope that it's been a great week for you. Can't believe it's April 1st already, but it is, and here we are. So, my hope is that this afternoon I'll be able to answer some more of the questions you've had. Likely not all of the questions. So, again, I'll ask for your patience and a little grace as we work through this process together. Just know that it's important to stay connected. And I know your high school principals, your high school teachers, counselors, office staff, custodial staff, transportation staff, paraeducators, everybody really misses you. And everyone's pulling for you this senior year as it's such an important time in your lives and ours as well. So same format as last week. And if you weren't on the call last week, what I'm going to do is go through categories of questions and provide answers that your high school principals and our regional assistant superintendents, under the leadership of Heather Miller, have put together. Also, a special shout out to Ann Deutschman, who put all the sheets together so I can make sense of it online with you. So there's also a chat area, and Alex in our communications department is going to help moderate the chat questions so I can answer questions that you have as we move forward. So let's get started. And hopefully ZEUS stays asleep this afternoon. I have new treats though. I found some Milo chicken sausages in the cupboard. So, and I think they're still good. They're not expired. So we'll see if that makes a difference this afternoon. So anyhow, let me begin with the first question, which is, how will the school closure affect final grades? Well, this is a great question. And right now, as you know, the governor has only closed school through April 24th. So he is planning at this time, unless he changes his mind and we get a different direction, for us to potentially be back in school April 27th. If that's the scenario, then the work you're doing right now and the learning that's taking place is currently going to be on a pass no credit basis until April 24th. If we come back to school, we would likely pick up again and have a conversation about the ability to do letter grades. If it turns out that we're going to be out later than April 24th, we're going to have to reconvene with principals and counselors and teachers and talk about what our final decision will be about final grades. So for the moment, the only decision that's been made about grades for second semester is, number one, we're not going to have third quarter grades. And number two, through April 24th, work will be pass no credit. So that's the answer for that one so far. The next question is, will there be an opportunity to raise grades? Well, there's always an opportunity, and we encourage students to continue in your learning process. Completing projects and tasks and getting feedback from your teachers is an absolutely essential part of teaching and learning. So we want you to continue learning and exploring the different content you're involved in. If you're in a performance class, continue practicing the skills necessary to be successful in that field, whether it's music or drama or any other media that you're working on. So naturally, continue to work hard, and more will be revealed when we know if we're coming back to school this semester or not. So next question, will third quarter grades be sent home after April 3rd? No, they will not. We're not going to be sending customary grades at the end of third quarter this year because we only made it 4 weeks into third quarter before we had this transition to online learning. So we want to make sure that our grades are reflective of your true progress and your capacity and the content you're working on. And we didn't feel that we would have enough data to legitimize letter grades at this time. Sorry, Zeus needs a treat. And while we know that you've been doing really important work, not all work needs to be graded to be important, right? So you will be getting feedback from your teachers on how you're doing with each project and each task involved. And we encourage you to take that feedback as you continue to take the level of your work up with iterations of your own work, for example. And then this next question is, what is the cutoff for second semester grades? And at this point for seniors, the end of the second semester reporting period is Thursday, June 11th. Friday, June 12th is set aside for non-academic senior activities such as senior breakfast, commencement rehearsal, and awards assemblies prior to the first scheduled graduation currently, which is Monday, June 15th. So the last day for second semester grades at this time is Thursday, June 11th. And then lastly, with regard to grades, on our final transcripts, will colleges only see the pass-fail grades? At this time, again, remember that we have not determined how the final second semester grades are going to be reported on the transcript. It'll have a lot to do with whether or not we go back to a brick and mortar classroom on April 27th. I do want to draw your attention, though. I believe Alex will have posted the most recent position statement from the four-year universities and colleges in Washington. And they don't want to hold anybody. They want to make sure that everyone has all advantages moving forward with their grades and transcripts. So they're going to be really thoughtful about how they look at admissions criteria as well as others. So at this point, we don't know yet what those final grades will look like, but as soon as we do, and as soon as we know about the rest of the semester, we'll let you know. So Alex is noting that, yes, he has posted that and that document is live now. I will let Zeus say a quick hello. I guess I'm getting a lot of pressure to have Zeus in the picture. So let me grab him here real quick. Hey, Zeus. Oh. Zeus does not want to get up. He's a little big boned. I think he thinks if I'm going to grab him, I'm going to put him in the back room, which would not be canine friendly this afternoon. So I'll send another picture of Zeus after our event this afternoon, maybe a puppy picture, kind of a then and now thing. So the next question is, why did my grade for an AP class drop dramatically when a pass no credit grade was entered? Well, it shouldn't have. So I'm not entirely sure. You may need to check in with your particular teacher if there's a question about a grade. I know that student view and parent view are still visible. And if there's a particular question about a grade, I think the very best person to connect with would be the teacher and or your counselor in those matters. So we want to make sure that that your grades, whether it's pass, no credit, or a letter grade, is reflective of your best effort. So check in with your teacher, and I'm sure it can be resolved. So, okay, Alex wants me to remind you that if you want to join the live chat, make sure you're watching on YouTube and not the embedded video on our website. So you can watch this either way, but you can provide chat questions from the YouTube channel. So I can come back to any grade questions if more are asked later. So let me go into the credit questions. The first credit question is, now that the district has resumed instruction with North Shore Learns version 2, will we be participating in that learning during spring break? And what I will say is that no, spring break is spring break, and spring break is something we negotiate with our teachers and with our staff. And it's part of our work calendar, our annual work calendar, and a commitment we keep. So while we won't have direct teacher instruction at spring break, you will have an opportunity to continue using resources on the website, and the projects that you're going to be initiating this week, you can continue working on through spring break for sure. I know I continue to work through spring break, so it won't be as structured, but please continue working on projects or papers or practicing instruments or vocal numbers or drawing or coding or whatever projects you're engaged in. Of course, you can continue those spring break, but our teachers will be taking spring break off as it is their spring break. So the next question is, can students do anything to modify their grade if it wasn't passing? Of course, as you continue to work on assignments and continue to look at different projects and means of demonstrating your capacity to understand the content in particular courses, there's no question you can continue to improve your performance. So next question. If a student satisfied all graduation requirements as of the end of first semester, can they get their diploma? Well, in this case, yes. If you believe you've already satisfied all your diploma requirements for graduation and you wish to graduate, please contact your counselor or principal. This would be probably a pretty rare case, but I suppose it's possible. And we would want to make sure you could take advantage of that opportunity. So do check in with your counselor and also check in with your principal. So the next question is, students with fines or fees are typically not issued their diploma and final transcripts until all fines have been paid or cleared. What if I have a library book I've not been able to return, or a balance on my lunch account that I've not been able to pay due to the COVID-19 situation? Will I still be able to receive my diploma? I would answer that issues like these that are due really to unforeseen circumstances should not affect students receiving their diploma. And each school is going to work with students on a case-by-case basis to resolve these issues. I do have a suggestion, and I think I shared this last week. Do put that library book in a really safe place so that when school starts back up or we have an opportunity to reopen, that you'll know where the book is, and that you'll be able to return it when you're able to. I know that sometimes I have the books closest to me that I'm reading right now, and it's really helpful to find a safe place to have it so that when you do return to school, you'll be able to put your hands on it quickly to turn in. So the next question is, Running Start students have been able to use the College 101 course to satisfy their high school and beyond plan requirement. And the question is that still the case? And the answer is yes. The College 101 course that many Running Start students take will continue to satisfy the high school and beyond plan when it's successfully completed. So do make sure that you successfully complete the high school and beyond plan and through that process, but it absolutely will be accepted. The next question is, will health occupation students still be able to get their CNA certificate, which is their certificated, I believe, nursing assistant certificate? And those issues continue to be worked on between the program directors and the state. So instructors will be providing students with more information once it's available. We again want to do everything we can to try to figure out how to support you receiving the CNA certificate at this time, knowing that the conditions are well beyond your control that have interfered with this. So the next question, can we take independent study courses to make up for what we have missed? So there are a couple of school board policies. One is policy 2410 and another is procedure 2410P, which are about graduation requirements. And these allow for opportunities to earn credit from accredited or approved providers outside the North Shore School District, if that's what you'd like to do. You do need to, if you're enrolled in these outside North Shore School District programs, you can earn credit, but they have to be approved by the State Digital Learning Department and be on our school district approved providers list. Credit can be awarded for other online courses also, but you do need approval from your principal. So check in again with your counselor and check in with your principal. And these policies and procedures will be on the website under this area, so you can have a chance to review those at your leisure. And if you have questions about those, again, please connect with your high school counselor or your high school principal. The next question is, how can I waive PE in health? So this is an area where each year we have a conversation about waiving the physical education or health requirement. And in this case, it's important to connect with your school counselor regarding the waiver of PE. And health is a state core requirement and currently cannot be waived. I will say that we have a number of students that have asked, what about spring sports, right? That I signed up to take spring sports. And one of the things I was hoping for was waiving my physical education credit with a spring sport. And we're still going to honor that commitment. Deputy Superintendent Dugan Harmon is going to pull the list of all those students who were seniors, signed up for a spring sport, and provide those to the high schools, to counselors and principals, so they can determine which cases, of course, should be granted those PE waivers. If you think you fall into that category, please connect with your counselor. And we just want to make sure that all of your needs get taken care of. So next question, I still need to take state testing. So how is that going to go out? What are the options? And will there be online state testing occurring? In this case, as you know, Washington State has suspended all testing at the state level. In other words, there will be no state testing this year. right? It's as seniors, most of you have already finished that process, and so the underclassmen don't need to do that this year. However, if you have a concern that a testing requirement might hold graduation up, it's important that you check in with your counselor right away, because there are a variety of pathways that we can still help you with between now and graduation so that you can graduate. So if you're concerned that maybe one of these state tests is a barrier, check in with your counselor as soon as possible by email or Zoom. And I know that they'll be able to work out a plan with you to support your ability to graduate. So I'm going to pause there and see if there are any questions at this point. I see one of them. If I have money in my lunch account and we don't return to school, will this be refunded? As you're a senior and likely not coming back in the fall, I think that would be a reasonable expectation that any monies you didn't use to purchase lunch would be returned to you. So I would guess that that would be what would happen. Let's see, have you found out anything about the money we have spent as parents for graduation cap and gowns? If the ceremony is not able to go on, do we get the money back? Well, at this point, what I understand is that we're still waiting on the governor to determine whether we're going to be coming back to school or not. At this point, he has closed schools through April 24th, and there is still a possibility we may return to school on April 27th. So we're not going to make a decision about graduation until we know that that data point to be true. So at this point, we're hoping to see students in caps and gowns, either at graduation in the traditional format or in some format we have yet to design if we need to be responsive to the governor and some possible new order. California just put a statement that is likely the school year will be canceled. Has ours done anything like that? No. In Washington State, as I've said, our governor, Inslee, has determined that schools will be closed through April 24th, and he has not made a decision about closing schools further than that. However, if he does make that decision, we will notify you as soon as possible. And then, we'll probably have some other decisions we'll need to make. And it's going to be really important for us to stay connected because I want to make sure, and our high school principals want to make sure, our elected board of directors, and all our staff, that we hear sort of your wishes should we need to be out the rest of the semester and need to figure out different ways to honor senior achievement this spring. But rest assured, we're going to take every possible effort and every possible measure to make sure that your senior achievements are celebrated and remembered for a long, long time, even during this epic health situation. How will honor cords work since we can't work towards some of them due to not being in school? Well, that's a great question. I think I may have an answer to that later in the session, but let me park that, or let me write it down so I don't forget honor cords. So it sounds like some of the criteria to get an honor cord is fluid and is still able to be earned. So let me take that back to high school principals. So let's start with our next category of questions. And this category is called senior events. So these were the questions that came in under this category. The first one is, how will class valedictorians be determined this year? Well, I can answer that by saying that seniors are ranked at the end of first semester, and that information is used to determine the valedictorian and salutatorian for each school. Since the school closure happened after the end of first semester, class valedictorians and salutatorians have already been established. So those decisions have been calculated, made, and are done, regardless of what happens second semester. So that we can answer this week. The next question is, it has been reported that the Angel of the Winds Arena, which is the name of the arena where we hold graduation traditionally in Everett, it's been reported that this arena has been converted to a COVID-19 quarantine site. What is the current status on commencement? Well, we have reached out to the Angel of the Winds Arena, and they have shared that they are following current government guidelines, which will take them through the month of April as this milestone at this time. And they're going to keep us updated on any types of changes. We know how important graduation is and how important the celebration is to our students, our families, our teachers, and our administrators. And we're aggressively pursuing options should we not be able to hold our traditional commencement ceremony. And you'll probably hear more about this as we get closer to April 24th and hear from our governor whether or not he's going to continue the school closure. So know that we are in touch with Angel of the Winds Arena staff, and we're monitoring that situation closely. And I want to pause for a minute too and just say that first and foremost, these are important questions for you seniors, and I really get that, and we're working hard to provide answers for you. I also want to remember that we are in a situation where a number of folks are experiencing health challenges, and that our first and foremost priority, yours and mine, is the health and safety of all of those in our community and our district. And I know you understand that. So we're going to continue to lift those people up who are struggling with this virus, or our first responders, our healthcare providers. And even as we do that and struggle with our own uncertainties, like what is the senior year going to bring? What will it be like? What might graduation look like? We need to be mindful that there is a health situation out there, that's bigger than you and bigger than me. And we'll work through our senior challenges, and just continue to hope for the best for all those dealing directly with the COVID-19 situation. So next question, let me think here. The next question, what is the most current information on senior events such as prom, senior party, and other events? I will share that at this point, your principals have indicated that senior event timelines at each high school might look different. As you know, each high school schedules unique activities based on your student body leadership and your traditions at each school. High school administrators are meeting regularly to discuss events and contingency plans if schools don't open by April 27th. Each high school will be communicating with seniors regarding any changes to plans for your senior events. So as we know more about whether or not we're going to continue school after April 24th, I know that your high school administrators, advisors, ASB leadership advisors, and counselors will be reaching out to you with ideas and asking your ideas for how to modify the events that are so important during the senior year. So let's keep going here. The next question is, will I receive a yearbook at the conclusion of the school year? And we have checked into that, and yearbooks are completed or are almost completed at each school by the yearbook staff. Several of you out there, probably seniors, know the state at which your yearbook has been completed. We have been in contact with the publishers, and they're currently unable to print yearbooks due to the COVID-19 crisis and their ability to have staff come in and help print these, because I don't think the yearbook staff businesses have been classified as essential businesses. However, once they're able to return to work, they are going to print yearbooks, and we will distribute them when they're ready. So more to come on yearbooks. So a specific question. Will I still be able to get the 2 honor cords, Zeus? Will I still be able to get the 2 honor cords that I earned in my 2 years of teaching academy for graduation? And again, I would suggest that that students should consult with their teacher academy instructor. And I would say the same for any of the honor cord requirements. If you're concerned about whether you've met these requirements, or perhaps you're missing an opportunity to meet those requirements, do check in with the advisor, the counselor, or the principal to find out how those might be modified. We understand that not everyone is able at this point, with the need to stay home and stay healthy for social distancing, that you may not be able to meet all requirements for honor cords. So we want to work with you. So check in if there's an advisor, or check in with your counselor or principal on that one. So how do we apply to walk for our graduation? There is a senior checkout form, but where do we find it? That is a great question. And again, I want to respond that each school will be in contact with the seniors closer to June, once we've determined what graduation actually will look like this year. And we'll remain hopeful that it's going to be a graduation that's very traditional, and be mindful that it might not. So I want to foreshadow that we will make sure it's special in whatever format it happens, and more information will be coming as we get closer to graduation. So, next question, where will seniors be picking up graduation gowns or will they be mailed to students? So this is a great question, and we're looking at contingency planning as we are for almost every topic I'm talking about this afternoon. Schools have been in contact with Jostens, who provide our caps and gowns, and a further discussion regarding cap and gowns will occur prior to the end of April. Either way, if you have purchased a cap or gown, you will be receiving your cap and gown, and more to come in terms of how specifically that's going to happen. But we're excited about you being excited about this. Next question, can you please not beat around the bush and just tell us whether or not you think we are going to be able to graduate normally? Well, there's a question. At this time, I have to say, I do not know if our traditional graduation will be held as usual. Until the governor makes a decision about whether we're going to go back to school at the end of April, it's really difficult to say. Having said that, I think as we look at the data over the next couple weeks, it'll become clearer to each of us about whether we're going to be able to do graduation as normal or not. So as soon as I know that, I promise not to beat around the bush, and I will tell you straight up what we're going to be doing if we can't do a traditional graduation. What I do want you to know, though, is whether we do it traditionally or not traditionally, we're going to make every effort to make it special for you. This is an epic, epic historical event we're living through right now, and your graduation will not get lost in it, I promise you. Graduation is such an important milestone. We'll get through it, and more to come on what it looks like once we know if we're going to be in school or not. So I'll pause there for senior event questions, if there are any more senior event questions here. Okay, somebody's asking, is Zeus real? How do we know that he's not a bunch of audio recordings? That is a fabulous question. He looks pretty real. I don't know if I can sneak down and grab him and lift him up. I don't know. Let me see if I can do that. Hey, buddy. Come here. Okay. Come on. All right, here he is. There he is. Say hi to everybody, Zeus. Okay, I can't believe I did that. My kids probably can't believe I did that. For the record, he is my daughter's dog. Okay, next question. Will we have a track season or is it done for the year? Another really good question. At this point, if we come back on April 27th, we will have a track season. If we're not able to return to school after April 24th, then I think that question remains unanswered again, right? So there's a lot that weighs on whether we can return to school April 27th or not. Having said that, perhaps running in place in your house, although I wouldn't suggest javelin or shot put in your living room. I think there may be objection to that. The degree to which we can make a decision on all spring sports really rests on the governor and whether he decides to close school for longer than April 24th or not. So at this time, the WIAA, which is the Washington Interscholastic Athletics Association, has frozen spring sports pending that big decision. Next question. If the spring sports season continues for anyone who maybe didn't meet the 10 practice quota to attend matches, will that be pardoned due to sports being put on pause? So I think there's still a requirement to have 10 practices, but I believe you could, like if you got 7 of them in, I think you could continue to get 3 more to be able to attend matches. But I'm going to have to defer to Dugan Harmon, and I will ask him that question. And we will have that question with his answer posted as part of the Q&A that is a part of this webinar. So let's see, if we go past April 24th, will school get pushed back further or just canceled? At this point, our superintendent of public instruction, Chris Reichdahl, has said that there will be, after June 19th, only weather days will be made up. And we do have some snow days, of course, that we need to make up. So I think we're going to go a little past June 19th, but there has not been a decision from the state about whether or not we're going to go further into the summer. So we're waiting for guidance from our state superintendent and also from the governor. So there's some things we can decide locally as a school district, and other things we have to defer to our state leadership on. And going further than our calendared school year is one of those we'll have to wait on. And whether we come back to school after April 24th is another decision we'll have to wait on. So these are great questions. Um, so next question, once and then if we return to school and grades are back to the letter system, will third quarter grades or graded assignments carry over to fourth quarter, or will we get a clean slate? So absolutely, as you know, in high school, we have semester grades that are final. So the semester is made up of your third and fourth quarter work. So whatever work you're doing now will have a bearing on your final semester grade. So we want you to keep working hard, completing projects, tasks, doing required readings, suggested readings, journaling. If you're practicing for a particular music or performance course, to continue that work, because third quarter and fourth quarter both are part of your final grade. So for badminton, since the season ends on April 24th, will students who play this sport be refunded for spring sports? That's a great question, and let me check on the answer for that. On badminton, whether there'll be a refund. So the season for badminton ends on April 24th. I'll make sure that Deputy Superintendent Harmon also responds to that question for the Q&A that's in written form that'll be posted on the website following this webinar. But it stands to reason, if there was no badminton played and you paid to play, that we would try to find a way to refund that. Absolutely. Next question. If I am in work study this semester and need a certain amount of hours to earn credit but cannot work during this time, will I still be able to receive credit if not all the hours are fulfilled? So I think that may be a question that somebody has done for me here. Nope. So what I will answer to that is, I think we're going to look at those on a case-by-case basis, but if you could connect with your counselor or your work service credit teacher, I'm not sure what it's called here, but if it's a work for credit type program, connect with the teacher or advisor who gives you that credit. And we'll have to identify the business that you were working in and confirm that you're not able to work in it. But assuming all of those things are done, I think we can look at what a workaround would be if you're counting on those credits for graduation. So do connect with your advisor and counselor as soon as possible if you're relying on work hours for credit. That's a great question, and thanks for being on top of that. It's really important. Next question, how old is Zeus? So Zeus, let me think about this. He was born my youngest daughter's high school senior year. We got Zeus spring of her senior year, and she's now a second-year medical resident in Nashville. So he is now 10 years old, double digits. So anyhow, thanks for asking. He's a little old and can be grumpy at times. So next series of questions. These would be college questions. Can seniors contact counselors regarding college and career questions and decisions? Absolutely. Your counselors, in fact, are waiting. They're available. They're standing by. They're excited to be assisting you right now with questions and any concerns you have regarding your post-high school plans, whatever they might be. And maybe you don't even have a post-high school plan right now, so do reach out to your counselor and have that conversation about what you should be considering. And for those of you waiting admissions decisions, I know today's a big day. If you're trying to decide between schools or you didn't get into a school you really wanted to, and I know how hard that can be. I had my own kids, some got into schools they wanted and others not. All of it turned out fabulously though. So if you feel like you just need to talk to somebody about that, do reach out to your counselor, and they're ready and waiting. They really want to help problem solve those issues with you. So do reach out. Next question. How will transcripts be sent to colleges? Well, again, our counseling office staff and our registrars are hard at work serving students, even though they're doing it remotely, as they need to stay safe as well. So please contact your counselor for any needs that you have regarding college applications and the related documentation. All of that can be done remotely. Once you've made a decision on where you're planning to go to school or what you're planning to do next, letting your counselor know or your counseling office staff, and they'll make sure your transcripts get sent to the right place. All of those things can be done remotely. So I'll pause there before I take the next series of questions and see if there's anything about colleges that you have a concern about. And again, I want to remind you that Alex has posted the statement from Washington colleges and universities online. So if you have a minute to read that, each university and college in the state of Washington identified a particular staff member by name and their email who will answer any questions related to the COVID-19 concerns and college admissions. So if you have any questions, you're able to log right on to that and be able to ask those questions directly. So don't hesitate. And if you're going to college out of state, please know that almost every state in the country right now, actually, I think every state in the country right now is being impacted by COVID-19, and every single university and college is working on trying to be supportive of their students and each of their prospective students. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions. Advocating for yourself is such an important skill, and we hope we've nurtured that in you as you become independent young adults. If I'm a Running Start student and North Shore's graduation is canceled, can I walk at Cascadia? I think that that's a decision you'd want to check with Cascadia College on and find out what type of graduation ceremony they might be having and how that might work for you. So if you're in a Running Start situation, do check with your college that you're in Running Start with and find out what their rules and guidelines might be about that. Okay, next question was, but then what if we remain on a credit, no credit system for the rest of the year? Will final grades be on a pass or fail basis? Well, if we stay on a pass, no credit basis for the rest of the year, that's a big if, right? Big I, if we do that, then yes, the final grade would be reflected as a pass or no credit. However, remember, I said earlier, we have not made that decision for final grades yet because we don't know if we're coming back to school on April 27th or not at this time. It's only the work between now and April 24th that is going to be graded as pass, no credit. But we'll see as things change. I'm going to ask you to be flexible and nimble in your thinking and ability to cope with the changes. And there have been a lot of them in the last couple of weeks. And I need to tell you, there will likely continue to be more changes. So we're counting on you to roll with us and just embrace these changes and know that we're thinking of your best interests, even as we're making decisions. Next question, have there been any contingency plans as to what would happen if the traditional ceremony of graduation were to be canceled? We have not yet made a contingency plan. We've gotten in touch with Angel of the Winds Arena to check in with what their plans might be. And again, we're awaiting a decision from the governor probably within the next week or so about whether or not we're going to return to school on April 27th. As soon as we know that, we're going to be moving into full-on contingency planning or traditional planning, whichever it turns out to be. Can you please clarify how we are awaiting governor's decision about whether school returns on April 24th, considering the president said we are sheltering in place until April 30th? Well, it's a great question. So I'm guessing if we're sheltering in place, if the president has asked us to shelter in place until April 30th, that's likely what we'll be doing. And I'm sure the governor is going to be considering that as well. My understanding is April 27th is a Monday. So let's see, the 27th, 8th, 9th, 30th. So the 30th would be a Thursday of that week. So perhaps the governor and the president will work out which date they think we could actually return to school, and we'll await their decision. But that's a great question. So at this point, either the president or the governor will let us know when we're returning to school that week. I really want to commend you for following the news so closely. I love it that our seniors are so well informed, right? Go North Shore. That's fabulous. All right. If school continues to go later into the summer, is there a chance that graduation could be pushed back to a later day as well? Under the circumstances, is that it is safe to do so? Again, at this point, we have no plans to move we have no plans to move the school year later into the summer at this time. At this time, our plan is that we're returning to school on April 27th or possibly the 30th, depending on the differential between the governor and the president. And I don't think there's much of a chance we're going to move school year into the summer or move graduation. I think things are set and we'll see what happens. But as I just said, change can happen. And what I think is real today may evolve and be different tomorrow. But we're going to stay in touch so that you'll have plenty of notice. We won't be springing anything on you. So next question here, are kids going to have to repeat the same grade next year? No, we have no intent for students to repeat the same grade next year. We know that all students across the country are having this time of different instruction and having an opportunity to learn in different ways this spring. And when we return to school next year, what we're going to know is that we will come alongside our students and meet you where you are, just as universities are going to meet their new freshmen where they are and continue to nurture their growth. So I do not believe students will be repeating this grade next year. We'll pick up where we left off. And there's still a lot of learning to do this spring. And I encourage you to take advantage of the learning opportunities that we're going to put in front of you. They're deep and rich. And just because it's not learning in a traditional way doesn't mean it won't be deep learning. So I challenge each of you to make the most of the opportunities in front of us this spring. The president didn't say shelter in place. He just said to continue with guidelines such as the 6-foot rule and no large gatherings. Yeah, I think the president was really clear about no large gatherings. And in general, our comprehensive high schools, I think, would be deemed large gatherings since roughly 2,000 people are on the site each day. So I think we're going to have to wait and hear what our governor has to say and our president in the next couple of weeks. Both President Trump and Governor Inslee have really difficult decisions to make in the next couple of weeks. And we'll be waiting to hear and obviously support and work hard with whatever decision is made. If the school does not reopen till June 19th, then will you continue online learning as North Shore was the first to close? That's a great question. There may be I think the online resources very likely will remain. How that will play into summer and also summer school. Traditionally, North Shore has summer school options. We may look at summer school options and we may look at expanding those this year if students feel a desire or a real need to do that. I'm thinking most seniors won't, however, because you'll have graduated. But I do plan on having a webinar upcoming right after spring break with our 5th graders. There's been a lot of 5th grade chatter about outdoor camp. And also just transitioning to middle school without having this spring to do that, as well as our 8th graders. So I am planning to meet with those 5th and 8th grade groups coming up to answer their questions as well. But in the meantime, I don't think seniors will need to take a huge advantage of summer school at this point. Another comment, I never would have thought I'd actually want school back. Isn't that true? Sometimes, what is that saying? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's like we don't know how important things are till we don't have them in our traditional form. So I miss seeing you each day as well. And but I do find joy in the notes that you send and some of the pictures of you learning and projects and some of the reading reports and reviews some of you have done. So we have to find joy in those smaller moments with family and friends and colleagues. And we're a community that is absolutely going to emerge stronger from this than we started. So, because we know we can do it, even in our toughest times. So let me move to the next question. Oh, I know. The last question on this one is, do we have the necessary resources to continue online for the rest of the year? Yes, I believe we do. Um, we've issued more than 4,000 devices to families and over 850 remote hotspots for internet access. Um, and as long as our staff stays healthy, and that was one of the reasons we moved to a more flexible schedule, is so staff could help each other out as they are experiencing the COVID-19 health challenges, just as many other adults are. We should have those necessary resources. So let me move to AP information. So we had a couple questions on AP testing. The first question is, when will AP testing occur and what topics will be covered on the tests? Is there a way for me to prepare for the AP tests? And if I'm currently registered for an AP test, am I able to cancel and get a refund? So I need to share that AP testing is shifting to an online 45-minute free response test that covers material that was taught up to early March. There will be 2 dates to test, and those dates are going to be posted on the College Board website by April 3rd, which is the end of this week. In addition, students and schools have access to free live AP review lessons delivered by AP teachers from around the country. Students who choose to cancel their AP test registration will be able to apply for a refund, and that information and additional details are located on the AP website. So we do have a link to that on our website. Alex has posted both the link to the AP courses and review lessons being taught, as well as the AP updates for the coronavirus website. Those are all linked to our website. There's a college and the high school question. I am taking college in the high school third year Japanese and paid tuition to receive college credit for the 1920 school year. Will I receive college credit for this class? If not, will we receive a refund for the tuition paid? Well, at this point, your high school staff have been in contact with all of our college and the high school college partners, and the teachers are assessing what requirements are remaining to satisfy these college requirements. Though the details do vary between colleges, it's the intention of each college partner to work with teachers to complete the course and award the college credits earned to students who paid the tuition, if it's at all possible. If it's not possible to complete the course requirements, colleges have indicated that tuition will be refunded. So again, I think even our college and the high school partners, AP partners, international baccalaureate partners, everyone is trying to work with you seniors to make sure that if we can't keep commitments that have been made, either AP wise or IB, that you will have an opportunity to have fees refunded. Do know that if financially it feels like you want to get the fees refunded just to help out financially, maybe your family is having a difficult time. We know many people are out of work right now, and there are a great deal. There are a lot of folks also dealing with economic issues. Please contact your counselor if that's a concern, because there are scholarship monies and ways to access funds for you to take these exams. And let's not have that refund. We can help you with those things. So if there is a financial barrier or a concern that you have because maybe one of your parents is out of work and maybe right now those funds would help fund other things for your family, please reach out to your counselor and see if there's another way we can help you take the test and provide the refund to your family. So we want to make sure you have the opportunity to earn those credits, if it's at all possible to earn those credits, because we know they'll help you down the road. So thanks for your patience with that as well. So the last 3 questions are general questions. One of them is about spring sports. Will they continue? I think I've answered that already, but just a reminder that the sports will stay closed as long as schools are closed. And once schools reopen, your district athletic directors and each building athletic director will consult with the state association to determine whether sports activities will resume. So you want to try to stay in really good physical health, even though you're home, and social distancing. So we don't know until we know if we're going back to school. At this point, we don't have a firm answer on spring sports yet. The next question is, have the spring musicals been canceled? All events through April 24th have been canceled. Once a firm date is set for schools to reopen, each school will determine if events can be rescheduled or that they continue as planned. So we're waiting on the governor to make a decision about whether or not we're really going back to school on the 27th, or in light of the president's concern about large gatherings, whether it might be later that week. But either way, we're going to wait for direction on that. And once we know, I can answer more directly about musicals and spring sports. And the last general question is, will spring parking passes be reimbursed? Again, that'll be determined about, if we return to school, no, you will assume you'll still use your parking pass. If we don't come back to school this semester, we'll have to obviously have a conversation about reimbursement. But we're going to stay hopeful that we can return to school in some form. So I will pause and see if there are any last questions before I share a couple last comments and we get about our April 1st business. Let's see, the new online learning program says that teachers should be assigning projects to allow for students to work on their own timeline. How should math classes be affected by this? I would check in with your math teachers. I think different math teachers are likely to approach this differently. If you're in AP Calculus or AP Statistics, for example, you'll need to stick probably to the syllabus so you can be successful on the AP exam. However, as we've heard, the College Board is really going to make the 45-minute assessment based on what's taught through early March. So you might see some math application problems from your math teachers. I know I'm going to pose a math problem to our elementary students around which way they'd prefer to have their allowance received. So you might see more logic problems, more application of mathematics, but I would trust your math teachers to think about what projects they might think up. And, applied math could be really fascinating. It could be something that we really opens a lot of doors for your thought, I think. So next question, what would happen if one of my teachers does get COVID-19? Well, in the event that one of your teachers did get COVID-19, and you do need to know several of our teachers in the school district have been diagnosed with COVID-19. And in each case, they have been treated and have recovered. So, but they are ill when they're ill, right? It is the symptoms can really vary from patient to patient, but they're not feeling well. And if they're not feeling well, they're not going to be teaching on that during the day that they're not feeling well. So part of the reason why we went with a more flexible schedule for North Shore Learns version 2.0 is that some of their colleagues may pitch in and help with sharing assignments or sharing project ideas. And because there's time built into the schedule, it allows for teachers to support each other in that way, and also support you. So we, to this point, all staff who have been diagnosed with COVID have recovered, and we're hopeful that any further staff who are diagnosed will also recover. We do know that part of recovery is getting plenty of rest and taking care of themselves. So yeah, that would be what would happen at this point. For college and high school classes, will we still be able to get the college credit as well? That'll be determined by the college and the high school teachers and the college they're working with. And as long as the content that the college requires to be covered is covered, then we believe that the credit will be granted. They're working on ways to make sure that happens for you. So I'll wait another minute for any further questions. So not seeing any further questions, I guess I just want to end today by sharing how grateful I am that each of you took a few minutes this afternoon to join me and thinking about your future and thinking about some of the barriers or worries or concerns you might have. And I want to say that no matter what these concerns are, and you've had great questions, that together we'll solve these issues and questions. And if you're on track to graduate, you will graduate. And if you're not on track to graduate, seek out some support from your counselor or your principal, and we want to make sure we get you on track to graduate. Our goal is to have each and every one of you graduate at the end of this year, hopefully in some type of traditional ceremony, but if not, in some type of a ceremony that honors your achievements and marks this milestone. Together, we'll get through this, and we'll look back on these days as days that forged our character and stretched us in ways we wouldn't otherwise have been stretched. And we'll know that when we get through this, we can get through anything in our lives. So at this point, I want to say stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, and we're going to do this. We've got you, seniors. So we'll talk to you later. Have a fabulous spring break, and I'll be checking in with you after spring break. Good afternoon.